Welcome back, everyone. Ready to dive into some sales secrets?
I'm excited for this one.
Today, we're cracking open Harry Browne's The Secret of Selling Anything.
Oh, yeah, a classic.
And, it's not what you might think.
Right, none of that stereotypical pushy salesperson stuff.
Exactly. It's about psychology, really getting into the heads of potential buyers.
Understanding what makes them tick.
So forget the slick tricks
This is all about genuine connection.
and figuring out how to truly serve the people you're selling to.
Because as Brown points out, no one has to buy anything.
That's such a fundamental truth, isn't it?
People only buy when they believe it'll benefit them.
When they see the value for themselves.
Like, think about when you buy a car,
Okay.
both you and the seller, you both come out ahead
Because you've each traded something you value less.
for something you value more.
It's a win-win.
And that's how Brown wants us to approach all sales,
Not as a battle.
but as a collaboration.
I love that. So instead of trying to convince someone to do something they don't want to do.
You're showing them how your product helps them achieve their goals.
Their goals, yeah.
It all starts with understanding their motivation.
Which Brown says a lot of people get wrong.
He calls it the universal fallacy.
The universal fallacy.
This belief that people don't always act in their own best interest.
So if you're operating under that assumption
Your sales are probably going to suffer.
because you're trying to fit a square peg in a round hole.
You're not speaking to what the person truly wants or needs.
So how do we break free from this fallacy? What's the secret?
Well, Brown calls it the secret of success, and it's pretty straightforward.
Okay, lay it on me.
Part 1, provide people with what they want.
Sounds simple enough.
But here's part 2, recognize that what they want is relative.
So what one person values, another person might completely disregard.
Exactly, and that's where a lot of salespeople get tripped up.
They project their own values onto the customer.
Right, they think, well, I would love this product, so everyone else must too.
But that's a recipe for disaster.
Brown uses this great analogy of being stranded on a desert island.
Oh, yeah, I remember that one.
Suddenly your priorities become crystal clear.
You're not worried about collecting seashells, are you?
Not at all. You're focused on survival, food, water, shelter.
The essentials.
And in the marketplace, people are doing the same thing.
Constantly making choices about how to allocate their resources.
Exactly. So as a salesperson, your job is to figure out
What matters most to that particular person
right, and then demonstrate how your product,
can help them achieve their goals.
whether those goals are related to survival, comfort, status, or anything else.
Sounds like a lot of detective work.
It can be, but Brown gives us a really helpful framework.
You're talking about his 5-step process for successful selling, right?
That's the one. And it all starts with step 1.
All right, hit me with step 1.
Discover the prospect's motivation.
So this is where those listening skills really come into play.
Absolutely. You have to put aside your own agenda.
And really tune in to what the other person is saying.
Their problems, their goals, their desires.
Because those are the keys to unlocking the sale.
It's not about you, it's about them.
So before you even think about presenting a solution,
You need to understand the problem.
really get inside their head.
Then step 2 is to summarize that motivation back to them.
Oh, I see. So it's like you're saying,
Okay, here's what I'm hearing. Am I on the right track?
that makes a lot of sense.
It clarifies the issue, it builds rapport
And it ensures you're both on the same page.
before moving forward.
Okay, I'm liking this so far. What's next?
Now, step 3 is where you finally get to present your product.
The big reveal.
But here's the thing. You're not just rattling off features and benefits.
Right. It has to be tailored to what you've just learned
You're essentially customizing your pitch.
to address the specific motivations you've uncovered.
Focus only on what matters to them.
So it's all about relevance.
And that's where a deep understanding of your product comes in.
You need to be able to articulate its value proposition.
In a way that resonates with each individual prospect.
You're painting a picture of how your product can help them achieve their goals.
And when you do that effectively,
The sale becomes so much easier.
it's less about selling and more about problem solving.
I love that.
Now, of course, there will be questions and objections.
Which a lot of salespeople dread, right?
They see it as a sign of failure.
But Brown says we need to reframe that.
He calls step 4 answering questions.
And he encourages us to see objections,
Not as roadblocks,
but as opportunities.
opportunities to further understand the prospect's needs.
And refine your approach.
Exactly. He even gives us a technique called listen, agree, suggest.
Oh, tell me more about that.
First, you really listen to the prospect's concern.
Without interrupting or getting defensive?
Then you find some common ground, you agree with them,
Not necessarily with everything they say.
but maybe with their feelings, validate their concerns.
This creates a more collaborative atmosphere.
And finally, you suggest a solution.
Maybe a feature they haven't considered.
Or a different way of framing the issue.
You're turning a potential conflict into a collaborative problem-solving opportunity.
And when you've done all that,
Step 5, closing the sale, should feel almost effortless.
you're simply guiding them toward a decision that already feels right,
So it's not about pressure.
but about confirmation.
Browne even says that often the prospect will initiate the close themselves
If you've truly understood their motivation,
and shown them how your product can help them achieve their goals.
they'll be eager to move forward.
This is all making so much sense. To bring this to life, maybe we can look at an example.
Absolutely. Browne tells a great story about an air conditioning company president.
The one who thought folders were wasted time, right?
That's the one. This guy was adamant folders are worthless, he said.
I can imagine a lot of salespeople would have given up right there.
But not Browne. He used his 5-step method.
He started by asking questions.
Why did this guy hate folders so much? What was behind that belief?
So he listened, summarized the concerns, and then presented his program in a way that directly addressed those concerns.
And guess what? He made the sale.
Even though the prospect started off so skeptical.
Because Browne focused on the needs, not the objections.
This story really shows how powerful this approach can be.
Even when dealing with the toughest prospects.
It also highlights something else that Browne emphasizes.
Honesty and integrity.
Right. He says you should never lie to a prospect.
Even if you think it might help you close the deal.
Because ultimately it'll backfire.
It'll damage your reputation and erode trust.
It's about building those long-term relationships.
Based on mutual respect and genuine value.
This is such a refreshing perspective on sales.
It's not about being slick or manipulative.
But about truly connecting with people.
Understanding their needs.
They're providing solutions that make a real difference.
That's the secret to selling anything.
It's amazing how these ideas go way beyond just like traditional sales,
Oh, absolutely. It's about understanding people.
It's about persuasion, really.
And that's something we do every single day, whether we realize it or not.
Trying to get our point across.
Convincing someone to see things our way.
But we often forget to consider the other person's perspective.
We get so caught up in our own heads.
This is a great idea.
Everyone should see it my way.
And we push and wonder why we're getting nowhere.
Exactly. Browne reminds us that what they want is relative.
It's all about their own unique circumstances.
Just like with the desert island scenario, priorities shift.
So let's say you're trying to convince, I don't know, your partner to go camping,
Okay, I see where you're going with this.
but they're dead set on a beach resort.
A classic dilemma.
Using Browne's method, you wouldn't just launch into a sales pitch about the joys of camping.
No, you'd start by trying to understand their motivation.
Right. Why the beach resort? What's the appeal?
Maybe they picture themselves lounging by the pool with a cocktail.
Or maybe they have a childhood memory tied to a specific beach.
It's about uncovering those deeper desires.
So step 1 is really about asking questions.
And listening. Truly listening.
Not just waiting for your turn to speak.
Exactly. Once you've got a sense of their motivation, you can move to step 2.
Summarize it. Make sure you're both on the same page.
You could say, so you're looking for relaxation, some pampering, and the ocean is important,
It shows them you've been paying attention.
that you respect their perspective.
Okay, now step 3, you get to make your case for camping.
But remember, tailor your pitch to what you've just learned.
So instead of emphasizing roughing it,
You might highlight the peaceful, secluded campsites.
maybe even one near a lake, if being by the water is important.
You could talk about reading by the campfire.
Stargazing, enjoying nature walks.
Even suggest bringing some spa-like amenities. Why not?
So you're still addressing their desire for relaxation and pampering.
Exactly. But, of course, there might still be objections.
Bugs, maybe. Sleeping on the ground.
This is where step 4 comes in, answering questions.
And remember, see these as opportunities, not roadblocks.
So you listen to their concerns about bugs
Acknowledge that those are valid concerns.
and then suggest solutions.
High-quality air mattress, bug spray, campsite with amenities.
You're working together to find a solution that works for both of you.
And if you've done all this well,
Step 5, the close, should happen naturally.
Without any pressure or manipulation.
Maybe they say, okay, you know what, that actually sounds pretty good.
Let's go camping.
And just like that, you've reached a win-win outcome.
You've turned a potential argument into a shared adventure.
It's incredible how these principles can transform our communication.
It's not just about getting your way.
But about understanding and respecting the other person's needs.
And finding solutions that benefit everyone involved.
And this goes way beyond just personal relationships, of course.
Think about negotiating a raise, advocating for a cause.
Anytime you need to persuade someone.
These principles can be incredibly effective.
And something that Browne really hammers home is the importance of honesty.
Oh, he's adamant about that, isn't he?
He says never lie to a prospect, even if you think it'll help you close the deal.
Because in the long run,
it'll always damage your reputation.
It's short-term gain for long-term pain.
It erodes trust, and trust is the foundation of any successful relationship.
Browne believes that honesty is not only ethical,
but it's also the most effective way to build a sustainable business.
Because when you're honest with your customers,
you build loyalty and earn their respect.
Which leads to repeat business, referrals, all the good stuff.
But honesty is more than just words.
It's about actions, about showing your integrity.
Browne even says, never tell a prospect you're honest.
Because a dishonest person would say that too.
Right. It's about being upfront about your product's limitations.
Not overpromising or misleading.
If you don't have what they're looking for, be honest about it.
Don't try to force a sale that's not a good fit.
Because ultimately, that'll just lead to unhappy customers and damaged relationships.
It all comes back to building those long-term relationships.
Where both parties feel valued and respected.
Browne even has a whole chapter on the care and feeding of customers.
It's about going above and beyond.
Not just making the sale and then disappearing.
But providing ongoing support.
Looking for ways to add value to their lives.
And treating them with genuine appreciation.
This is so much more than just a transactional approach.
It's about building a community, a network of people who trust and support each other.
And that's what makes Browne's approach so powerful.
It's not just about selling.
It's about building a better way of doing business.
And ultimately, a better way of living.
It's about shifting our focus.
From what can I get to
how can I help?
And that simple shift can make a world of difference.
This has been such an eye-opening conversation.
I'm really starting to see how these principles can be applied to all areas of life.
Not just in sales, but in relationships, in our communities, in everything we do.
It's about bringing more integrity and authenticity into the world.
And that's something I think we can all get behind.
As we move into the final part of our deep dive,
we'll be exploring the role of confidence in the sales process.
But before we do that, what are your biggest takeaways so far?
What's resonating with you most strongly? You know, it's funny. We often picture a salesperson as someone who's super confident, almost aggressive.
Yeah, that sort of slick, fast-talking stereotype.
But Browne flips that on its head.
He says true confidence in sales, it isn't about that outward bravado.
It's about something much deeper.
It comes from really understanding the sales process.
And believing in your ability to help people.
He even suggests that those pushy tactics, that hard sell,
it can actually be a mask.
A sign of insecurity.
Like they're overcompensating for something.
Exactly. If you're truly confident in your product
and your ability to connect with the prospect,
you don't need all those smoke and mirrors.
You can just be yourself.
Browne encourages salespeople to relax, focus on building that genuine rapport.
Authenticity over performance.
And that authenticity comes from knowledge.
Knowing your product, knowing your customer's needs.
It all circles back to what we've been discussing, listening, understanding motivation.
When you've done that groundwork.
And you know you're offering something truly valuable.
You can approach the sale with a different kind of confidence.
A quiet confidence.
It's not about forcing anything.
It's about letting the prospect decide.
And that takes courage, doesn't it?
It does. To detach from the outcome, to be okay with a no.
Because sometimes it's just not the right fit.
A no today doesn't mean a no forever.
Maybe their needs will change down the line.
Or maybe you'll have a different product that's a better match.
But if you've treated them with respect, been honest and genuine,
you've left that door open.
You've planted a seed.
And that's what it's all about, isn't it? Shifting our focus.
From what can I get?
To how can I help?
It's a powerful shift.
One that can change everything.
Not just our approach to sales, but our whole outlook on life.
It's about bringing more integrity to our interactions.
More empathy, More authenticity. Wow, this deep dive into Browne's book has been a real game changer for me.
It's given us so much to think about.
Not just about selling, but about how we connect with people in all aspects of life.
About building relationships based on trust and mutual respect.
About making a positive impact on the world.
It's about becoming better listeners, better communicators, better human beings.
Browne's Secret of Selling Anything is more than just a sales book.
It's a guide to living a more fulfilling life.
And we hope that this deep dive has inspired you to apply these principles in your own life.
Whether it's in your career, your relationships, or anything else you're passionate about.
Remember, it all starts with that simple shift in focus.
From what can I get to how can I help?
Thank you for joining us on this journey.
Until next time.